And welcome, everybody. I'm riding solo today for another edition of I'll Hang Up and Listen, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at 6 different Western New York locations. Make sure you need a beer, make sure you make it a Fatty Beer and let them know Two Goalies One Mike sent you. You can find them at Fatty Beer on Instagram and Twitter, fattybeer.com, and, of course, Buffalo Go Apparel. Whether it's your shirts, your hats, your hoodies, they have it all at Buffalo Go. You can find them at Buffalo Go Co. on Instagram and Twitter, buffalogo.com for all of your Buffalo sports apparel needs. Sabres get blasted 7-4, go down early 2-0, storm back to take a 3-2 lead, and then from pretty much there on out, it was just all Philly coming back, and they score 4 unanswered goals. You see the title of this post game is UPL lost. UP lost. Or however you want to say it. I'm not saying the loss is 1,000% on him, but let's make no mistake about it. He was horrendous today. He was given an opportunity in a back-to-back. We talked about this last post game. Me and Hurls kind of had some back and forth about it. I begged the question, has he lost a starting job here in Buffalo to 37-year-old James Reimer? After today's performance, I think so. Make no mistake about it. The team itself was terrible in front of them. 5v5, they were awful. Horrendous. But I would say at least 3, maybe 4 of the 7 goals against, both of UPL's feet are in the blue paint. Like, both Michkov goals, I mean, granted, he is a future superstar in this league. Probably you're looking at like a Kaprizov level type player. But Bryson played that 2-on-1 the way it should have been played. He took the way of the pass. So it's just UPL and Michkov. And by the time Michkov releases that shot, almost both of his feet are in the blue paint. It's just, you have to have faith in your defenseman, knowing that it's just you and the shooter there. Make yourself as big as possible. You're 6'5"? I might be a little bit taller, I'm not sure, but like you're a big goaltender, and when they get that tight end, you're getting the tight end, it gets more difficult to score, especially if you're making yourself bigger. And he didn't make himself big. You go to the breakaway by Michkov. Again, a defensive breakdown, letting them get behind you. Great release, whether it's the forehand or the backhand. But again, by the time that puck almost gets to the net, you're almost on your own goal line. You're not controlling your depth. The Owen typical. I don't care if he's got a guy in front of him. Okay. Like, he releases that shot from goddamn near the blue line. Near the blue line. And by the time the puck is, maybe 5 feet in front of him, he is still moving over. Like, he was a solid second behind the play, maybe a second and a half. And the puck blows by him on the blocker side. And again, he is in his blue paint. He's not fighting the man in front of him off. Great. Yes, that is not his fault. That's the penalty kill's fault. Somebody should be there to cover that guy in front, even though you're killing. But both your feet are in your blue paint, man. With a shot coming from 100 feet out. With only one guy in front of you. You should be able to play through that. There was another shot where he kind of looked like a fish out of water. I'm not entirely to blame him. He just wasn't good enough. Wasn't. And then we're looking at another year of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen where, for the most part during the season, he was the starter, and then he loses the job by the end of the year. Last year, me and Hurls, I would have preferred him get a 3-year deal, not a 5-year deal. And now this looks horrible on Kevin Adams. Rewarding another player off of one good year of play. And when I say one good year, I mean one good year at the pro level. He didn't have a good year in Rochester. Pre-Buffalo, the last good year he had in net was in the OHL. And the first year pro, he had a great year last year. I'm not taking nothing away from him. He earned an opportunity to be the starter for this team. And given the net, he was his net this year. Levi was sent to Rochester pretty early on. They brought in James Reimer, waived him, and got him back. And, they made it clear whose net it was. And you lost it. to a 37-year-old James Reimer. So what are we going to do? What's there to do when it comes to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen? I tweeted during the game. I'm watching the highlight for the Michkov goal. Like, this is what drives me nuts. Before I get to that point, what drives me nuts about the Michkov goal is when he is on his backhand, there is zero chance he's going to be able to pull that to his forehand. So you as a goaltender know, okay, get your hands out in front of you, control your depth, because this is coming on the backhand. And again, the puck is in the net. He's almost on his goal line. He's not playing with any confidence right now. None whatsoever. You can see it. You can see it in his body language. I'm watching the goals against right now, like the typical right here. He is still moving across when that puck is getting ready to. And it's not like the shot is coming from 5-10 feet out in front. It's coming from like 100 feet out. I don't know. It's not good. Not good. In a game where you hadn't started in the last three, James Reimer 3 years as a goaltender, being given the opportunity here in a back-to-back, you want to try and win your net back here a little bit. You didn't do that. I think you just gave the net right back to James Reimer, who, again, a very tough task against the best team in the National Hockey League, or second best team in the National Hockey League, if you want to talk about Winnipeg, tomorrow against the Washington Capitals. I don't know. So we're gonna we will hit the peanut gallery here right now from Mike America. UPL doesn't even know the basics of goaltending, which is beyond. I disagree with that. Listen, I think UPL is an athletic freak. I've used that term to describe him plenty of times. He is an athletic freak. He has all the tools. It's just up here. It's always been up here with him. Up here. It's not like most of the goals scored against today were just goals where they're mental mistakes. That's what they are. I mean, granted, as a goalie, I look at that. I look at each individual goal, and I'm like, not deep enough. He's not out enough. He's not challenging enough. He's not challenging enough. He's not anticipating to play enough. He has the size. He has the flexibility, the athleticism to be a top 10 goalie in this league. He just can't put it together upstairs. And that's been the book on him. I've been saying this for 2 years. And granted, last year, it finally looked like he was putting it together. And then he takes 5 steps back this year. I wouldn't even brought him out for the third period. They should have went right to Reimer. But I know it's a back-to-back, so it's tough to do that. UPL is in a starting goalie from Paul Derek. I'm hoping it's not this summer, but Duane won't sit on this team for his entire career. From Scott McCombs. I don't think we've seen you in the chat, so welcome, man. Welcome to the show. At this point, nobody on this team is untradeable. The only 2 guys I would say right now on this current roster would be probably Duane and Tage. But yeah, again, who's untouchable other than those 2 guys? They have one more season with this, and Duane is demanding a trade. He says he wants to see it through, but I tend to agree. If some things don't change, I think that whole situation where it was rumored by, I know it was reported by Paul Bissonnette, but that information was given to him directly by Elliot Friedman. That could take a turn for the worse. Who knows what was said in that sit down between Kevin Adams and Rasmus Dahlin, but I have to imagine, I would like to think that he would use his leverage as the most important piece of this team to force Kevin to make some massive changes. I don't know. That's just me. You lost this badly to a team coming off firing their coach, and you got dominated. Shots were 32-21, scoring chances were 17-15. I mean, hell, the hits were relatively close, but you just didn't get the saves you needed. Not at all. I don't know. From the high school goalie needs to be bought out. I can't go another 4 years of this buffoon. From Andrew Hartnett. What's up, bud? Could have won if they pulled UPL after 3. I tend to agree. He didn't have it. I think after the 4th goal, I think heading into the 3rd, you probably should have yanked him. But I think they would have had you not be going right back to Washington tomorrow, traveling from Philly to Washington and playing right again. I think you would have probably seen Reimer in the third. Duane goes out, UPL goes in. The results speak for themselves. UPL was due for a game like this. Let me see here. Funny how this whole team sucks when he is in net. I think this is they are who we thought they were. This is who they are. They can't be consistent enough. They play up to levels of teams that way ahead of them in the standings, and they play down to level of teams below them in the standings. They were awful today. Everybody. They just were. And I tweeted it out during the game, and I think they should take a serious look at it. Whether you're riding still with UPL into the second year of this deal, or you're moving on from him in the offseason, you should take a serious look into Thatcher Demko. He has 1 year left on his deal. He's making $5 million a year, and he has no trade protection. I think that he's been in the rumor mill because Vancouver has probably found their starting goaltender beyond him. I do think he'd be available depending on what Buffalo would be offering, whether it's a draft pick or somebody in their system. Because I don't see Thatcher Demko extending there. I think he would like a chance to be the starting goaltender, and I think you could have if again you're riding with UPL next season, still you get a 1A 1B situation and let the results speak for themselves between the two of them. I mean, we've seen Thatcher Demko have a Vezina-like level season before. I still think he has a lot to offer. Obviously, he's dealt with some injuries in the past, but it's a potential low risk, high reward. And again, my biggest point here is it gives you another year to decide on Devin Levi. Again, whether you bring him up as your backup next year behind Thatcher Demko, or you let him ride another year in Rochester, go chase another championship. Hopefully they win it this year. And then, if they don't win the championship, go chase one in Rochester again next year. But, he is on track in terms of his development. Or again, you ride him as your backup, because I think he's been, in my opinion, easily the best goaltender in the AHL, not even arguably the second best pro league in the world. And he had a 6th shutout of the season last night against Bridgeport, making I think it was 28 saves. He's been fantastic this year for Rochester. Absolutely fantastic. I know the results don't always show at the NHL level. He had maybe 1 or 2 good games this year when he did play. I'm not sure what his record looked like all this season. I know his numbers don't look good, but just turned 23. I think he's going to be a stud. Yeah, I said it. Was it 2 days ago? I said, he reminds me a lot of Ryan Miller with the way he looks at the game. What he lacks in size, he has up here. The way he anticipates, his patience, his footwork, he has it all when it comes to those things. Obviously, he doesn't have the size. I think he's like 6'1", maybe 6'2" on skates. He's not, your prototypical 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" goaltender. But I think that you really have to take a hard look at goaltending in the offseason. I get it. I'm looking at Real Deal Prime here in the chat. It's not the goalie. So the numbers don't lie, man. The numbers don't lie. I think Matthew Fairburn tweeted it out here. Let me pull up the tweet. Let me see. Give me one moment. His goals against above expected, whatever it was. Again, I'm not an analytics guy, but where is it? Let me see here. From Matthew Fairburn, just very shortly ago. Let's see. Sorry for the delay. No, it was Fairburn that tweeted it out. Give me one moment. According to Money Puck, this was 49 minutes ago. According to Money Puck, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has allowed 6 goals on 2.295 expected goals against today against the Flyers. That's atrocious. And that was before they got number 7. I don't know what the updated number of that is, but that's terrible. It's terrible. Again, I understand the team was awful defensively. But for those of you who don't like know the position, I'm not trying to sound like I'm some expert, but I have played it for a very long time. Look at some of the goals against, especially the two that came from far out. Where are his feet? Where are his feet? They are in the blue paint. He is not out challenging. The typical, he's still moving over when that shot is almost to the net. And it's not like it was a shot that was coming from in close. It was from over 100 feet out. I mean, you can try and talk about why is the guy in front not covered. But bro, you're you're like a second behind the play. It's not good. I don't know. Like, yeah, I am thinking Thatcher Demko because it's a 1 year risk and reward. It is. I don't think it would cost you a lot to get him. He has proven at the NHL level that he can play at an elite level. And if he stays healthy all next year, guess what? you have a solid starting goaltender in net who is more experienced. I'm pretty sure he's played in the playoffs. He's played in the playoffs. I just think it'd be beneficial, even for UPL, who's had a number of veterans to play alongside. But I truly think you bring the best out of a goaltender when you show him true competition. James Reimer was never really true competition for him because he's 37 years old. You find out who a goaltender really is when faced with competition. And I've said it on this podcast. I've said it in past podcasts. His issues are up here. It's not a physical thing. He is athletic as they come. He has the size. He just needs to put it together up here. And that was shown in his play today. Just simple mental errors. Not challenging the shooter enough. Being too deep in his net. Not controlling his depth. Not anticipating. That's just my opinion. He gets hurt, whatever, man. Then you have UPL, right? You still have UPL. Then you go find another James Reimer to play behind him. I don't know. I like UPL. I want him to succeed. I've said this. But look at this year. Before tonight, and again, I know these are just numbers. But before tonight, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was... These were his numbers this season. .316 with an .888 save percentage. Now, it's 51 games played. I'm not sure if those numbers include tonight. This is NHL.com, so I don't believe it does include tonight. No, it doesn't. Because it's showing his last game played here was against Minnesota. So those numbers just got a lot worse. .316, .888 save percentage before this game. Career, a .304, .899. You look at his... I saw a lot of comparisons, too, between him and Ullmark over the last couple of days. The careers, there's no comparison between him and Ullmark and their development. Ullmark played well in Rochester. UPL never did. They brought him in. He showed flashes, then finally had a good year last year. And now he's just taking steps back in his development. It's not a comparison. Linus Ullmark had proven for more than one season that he was capable of being a starting goaltender in the NHL. Then he went on to the Bruins to win a Vezina Trophy and make deep playoff runs, even though he was going back and forth with Swayman. Yep, right here. Pablo Barrasso. Ullmark had a .914 save percent of the Buffalo Sabres, and Adams lowballed him. I thought I read that he took less money to leave. I think during the season when he wouldn't discuss a contract extension in season, which is a known fact, I think he knew right then and there he wasn't going to be back to Buffalo. He didn't want to get traded. Maybe he didn't want to uproot his family. I think he may have even just had a child recently at the moment, at that time, I believe. He just didn't want to get traded and have his life uprooted at the deadline. This is his opinion. But Kevin Adams took him at his word that they could discuss an extension in the offseason. And he took his bags and he left Boston. And he had a good career there and is now in Ottawa. So for me, like, it's Kevin Adams' fault. because he could have got a decent return. He might even get a first-round pick for Linus Ullmark at the trade deadline. Not that we've done anything great with picks, but he was never going to re-sign here. From Eric Reinhardt, UPL has lost confidence and it's impacted his ability. Your reflexes and decision-making suffer when you can't trust what's in front of you. It isn't his fault he's lost confidence. Our D is awful. No, here's the thing. Like, I'll keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. The team 5-on-5, forwards to defense were awful today. But I'm not just going to put it in the defenseman and the forwards in front of him. There were a couple goals in there where he just didn't look confident. He didn't look like he trusted his own abilities. He was making terrible decisions. Depth control, again, was awful. Constantly in his blue paint. When he's 6'5", he should be outside his paint, making himself as big as possible. Yeah, I don't know. Trades need to be made in this offseason. Martins to be signed at all costs. We'll see. I'd love to see if he had some free agency. I would absolutely love to see Buffalo take a serious run at him. But, again, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Not every save would have been a routine save for UPL, but he's being paid to be a starting goaltender, and sometimes you just need your guy to make a save, and you just didn't get that from him today. Like, it's a team that, for all intents and purposes, you should be better than. They've had a season that they weren't expecting, just like us, and they're low in the standings, and you played down to their level, and it showed on the scoreboard. Alex Tuch. I worry about his future because, again, another year where you're almost guaranteed to possibly draft in the top 5. Another year where you're going to finish at the bottom of the standings, not make the playoffs. How far does loyalty really go if you're Alex Tuch? He is one of the best players in the league on the penalty kill. Another shorthanded goal today. Probably going to have another 30. Alex Tuch, I'm going to look right here. I'm not sure how many goals he had on the season before today. I know he had another one today, but Alex Tuch as of right now, Tucky has, and again, I think he has 29 goals in the season. I think that was his 29th. Yeah, it's not showing, at least in his last 5 games played. It's not showing that he played today's game yet on NHL.com. So 29 goals will be another 30 goal scorer in the season. 29 goals and 54 points in 72 games played. It's a plus 11. He's one of the biggest, most important players in your team next to Rasmus Dahlin. When they were trying to decide on captain, I always thought you should choose Tuch because it's hard to find a guy who, when traded to the Buffalo Sabres in the Jack Eichel deal, being traded from the best to the worst team in the NHL, who'd have a smile as big as he did on his face when being introduced to the team and wearing that jersey. I worry that he's not going to want to put up with this anymore. That he lived the dream, the childhood dream. He played for the Buffalo Sabres. I think he's earned a really big contract this offseason. You're not paying him any less than $8 million a year, and he deserves it. I hope they pay him because they should. The cap's going up. We'll see what happens with JJ Peterka. I hope the rumors about him aren't true that he wants out, but it's concerning. It is. I don't expect a guy like him to take a hometown discount. I wish he would. Maybe like a $7 million a year deal, for 5 years or 6 years or whatever it is. I don't see it because he knows he can get a lot more on the open market. It's very concerning that the performance of this team as a whole head into the final year of his contract, what the future might lie for Alex Tuch. And we'll obviously talk about that more on Two Goalies, One Mic coming up here in a couple of days. But I'm going to hit the post-game comments and then get out of here. It's Saturday. I want you guys to all enjoy your day off here on this dreary Buffalo day. But post-game comments here from Brian Koziel. If you guys just give me one moment, find them. And my mentions are blowing up too, so it's hard to find out. So I'm search his name out here. But Brian Koziel, post-game comments. Here we go. Lindy said Dahlin is doubtful for tomorrow as well. That's great news. At Washington, he has an illness that has been hanging around with him. He was due to play his 500th NHL career game tonight. Obviously, that we know from the 13-game losing streak how big of a loss that is, how important he is to the success of this team. Just imagine if you would have had him during that losing streak, if you would have cut those losses in half. I don't know. I don't know. It's concerning again. He's sick, and the loss of him on the back end does really, really affect the ability of this team to win or lose. He's the one guy you can't really go without. There's a couple guys in this team like Tage, like Tuck, like Duane. Those being my top three. You can't do without those guys and expect to win, whether they're out together or individually. Lindy says managing the puck has been an issue. When you get into a loose game, it's inviting some danger into their game. Lindy says it's tough to evaluate UPL today with how bad the defense and the decision-making were during the game. I mean, when he gets to look at the replays, he'll see. Yeah, it was bad. It was pretty bad in front of him, but there were at least 3 shots he should have had today. 3. I'm counting both Michkov goals. Even though the second one was a breakaway, that should have been a save. And definitely the typical. That's the 3 for me. And given at least on the second, at least the first Michkov goal, I mean, he could have been challenging out more, and that shot might have still went in, but he wasn't deep. He was too deep. He wasn't challenging enough. Same thing with the second goal. McLeod says he and Tuck watch a lot of video and get a lot of reps together, and it's carried over the success when they are killing penalties with giving them shorthanded chances. Again, like Alex Tuck has been like the shorthanded king. It's crazy this year how good he's been on the PK. Lindy says their puck management totally disrespected the game. Says it was like Christmas hockey, giving the puck away, which led to goals. McLeod says 4 goals should be enough, but they didn't defend well enough to win. Quinn, some bad decisions with the puck, says the Flyers were able to capitalize on it, and says they gave a few power plays, which also hurt. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot of postgame. Maybe guys didn't feel like talking. They wanted to get ready to leave for Washington as soon as possible, possibly. But, yeah, agreed. It's games like this I wish they talked to UPL. I want to hear his thoughts on his play. I don't know. So that being said, guys, I'm gonna let you go. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday here. I'll hang up and listen. Remember, this is brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at 6 Western York locations, 1 in Rochester, 1 in Ohio. If you need a beer, make sure you make it a Fatty Beer and let them know 2 Goalies, 1 Mike sent you. If you've enjoyed this content, you can find myself at DuaneS39 on Facebook on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook as well. If you're watching on YouTube, as I see many of you are, if you haven't already subscribed yet, please subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified when we go live. And as always, please, please, please hit the like button. All of you guys watching the chat right now, hit that like button. Give us a hand with that algorithm. And as always, go Sabres. We'll see you tomorrow.